So that was the Western Pacific EMD 3F A and B. It's new, and I was just playing with it and shooting it, and I thought maybe you'd like to enjoy that too. It has an unpowered B, unlike my Burlington F3 A and B, whereas they're both powered. And I can bring those up here. Let's see if everything is copacetic and it runs right and all that stuff. Here it comes. That's the Burlington. It's a little too far, I'll back it up. That's the Burlington 3F A and B. In this pair, the B unit is powered. The sound is in the B unit. I did not set this one up. I had this done by a professional, and wow, great job. He had to do quite a bit of work on the frame to be able to fit the sound and everything into it. With if it was a dummy like the Western Pacific, it would be pretty easy to fit the sound in it, but it's not. It's got the motor and everything, flywheels, the whole works. And as a consequence, where I'm going with this is it's a whole lot more powerful than the Western Pacific. I had to lighten up the Zephyr. I had to take 2 cars off the Zephyr to just get it to go around, the Western Pacific that is, because the wheels would spin. It just couldn't pull a load around turns, and it's still struggling in places, but it makes it okay. Once it gets going, it's not too bad. The Burlington EMD 3F A and B units, it's very powerful. It can pull very long trains. There's no problem with it, and it's a joy to run. But the Western Pacific picked up the Zephyr in Denver, no, in Ogden, I'm sorry, I think it was Ogden, and hauled it out across the desert to probably Truckee or so in California, where the Southern Pacific would have picked it up and pulled it over the mountains, over Donner Pass. Donner Pass, you know anything about Donner Pass? There were some folks very early on trying to get to California in wagons and wagon train, and they were too late in the season, and it started snowing. They got stalled way up high, and as the story goes, I don't know if this is true or not, but there were at least one of them that resorted to cannibalism to make it through the winter. People died, and or someone died. I don't really know the story that well, but anyway, they ate part of them. Eventually, one of the group or a couple of the group managed to get out and make it to Sacramento and get help, and they eventually saved most of them. But wow, it was bad news. Snows are very heavy up there in the Sierras, especially on Donner Pass in that area. And when you go over it in the train in the California Zephyr now, you run through all these snow sheds. They're almost like tunnels that are kind of semi-open on one side, and it supports the weight of the snow above, and so the tracks remain clear. And they're very long, and there are multiple snow sheds, long snow sheds that wind around and follow the track. Otherwise, trains used to get stalled up there. The whole train would be stuck. They couldn't get it free, and then they have to go rescue all the passengers. It was a big deal. So I'm going to move down and change a couple of turnouts, and I'm going to run this other the Burlington freight train. So just be right back. Some of you that have been with me for a really long time will probably remember back in the early days when on the other N-scale layout I built, that one of my first locomotives was a Mikado. In fact, it was this Mikado that's about to come into frame. I dropped this, not recently, but back when I was started out on the other layout, I dropped this on a concrete floor. From my height, I'm 6'1", and so it would probably fell 4 feet. Well, shattered it. Made a complete and utter mess of it. At that time, Caboose Hobbies was still in business, and they had a bunch of old pros working there. I took it in because it was way beyond anything I could do. Cracked pieces, stuff hanging out of it. It was in bad shape. And they said, well, we'll give it a try. And they had to buy some plastic parts, and they managed to get it all pasted together. It was never quite the same, although the whistle still sounds pretty good. But it has all kinds of running problems. The smoke box door falls off. The light doesn't always work. Well, it's on now, but it's so dim you can barely see it. And recently, very recently, I decided to replace it with a new Mikado. This didn't start out as as a Burlington. This started out as something else. And I just took all the numbers off and everything and put that sticker on the back to turn it into, a Mikado, a Burlington route Mikado. But I still run it, not very much because it's troublesome. But I have a new one and I want to show that to you. So let me get this out of the way. Well, there you go. As with all things in scale, you sometimes have to help it a little bit. At least I have to help it a little bit. Noisy little thing, isn't it? The biggest difference between these two, obviously the sounds are quite different, but my first Mikado was a very inexpensive model power. And this Mikado, the new one, is a Broadway Limited. I thought I'd show you some of the recent work done on the layout. This model is one of them. I'm working on a little road here, but it's not done yet. But the little service truck is really a sweet looking service truck. That's a nice model. Of course, you saw the sign. Pretty typical in the western United States to see signs like that back in the day. Coors invented the aluminum can for beer. And along with that, to get more aluminum, they needed more aluminum. They started recycling the cans. and they still do, of course. But now recycling aluminum's no big deal. Everybody does it. But back in the day, it was a totally new concept. I still don't know how much a kilo of cans would bring you. I have painted my silhouette hills. The back scene's not on it right now. I'm getting a new one printed. I don't know when I'll get it. So I painted these silhouettes, and I sort of tried to give a nod toward the Flatirons, which is a major rock feature in Boulder nearby here. And that's just a nod towards them. Built this kit, the grocery store, didn't have a grocery store, took out a 3-story building that didn't really fit. That one doesn't fit either. It'll probably go away at some point. I don't think there were any 3-story buildings. There were some 2-story buildings, but no 3-story buildings in Longmont that I know of. Added a fence back here along the road there, keep people from driving into the lot, confused drivers. I don't know if you've noticed or you saw it, I added some greenery and trees along there at the entrance to Cimex. What else is new? Oh, there's quite a bit of grass around. Oh, yeah. Well, I also put some ground cover down on this little hill over here, and I planted a bunch of trees. Here's a little video that goes by pretty quick of me planting trees, which is kind of fun. Anyway, that's about it for this week. I have quite a bit more trees to plant here, and I've got to put the ground cover on this. That's about it for this week. But we are nearing completion on the Colorado Northwestern. And it won't be too many more weeks and we'll be done. And I'm very pleased with how it's turning out. The next thing to do is, besides this, is work on the cement plant, get it going, get some lighting back in here, light up the insides of some of this stuff with, work lights and whatnot. And finish all the conveyors, get the conveyor in from the quarry down across. I was going to route that conveyor to a pile right here, but instead, I think I'm going to route it to a pile back behind. There's a flat area there in front of the Flatirons. I think somewhere in there, I'm going to route that conveyor. Bring in the raw limestone. So, I guess we'll see you next week, maybe. If not, the week after. I'll get back to you when I have something to say. How's that? Bye for now. Thanks for watching.